Hello everyone, this is Bill Apter with my side of the dark side of the Road Warriors. What a rush! Ah! Hawk and Animal. Mike and Joe. Two of the nicest people I've ever known, yet they were two men in the wrestling business that changed the entire business. When I was shooting pictures at ringside during their career, you never knew that they were quote unquote working. And the guys that they wrestled against when they got back to the dressing room, well, you could tell they were victims because Hawk and Animal never held anything back. I remember shooting one of their first few matches when Ole Anderson had brought them into Georgia Championship Wrestling. And I remember specifically of them having David Sammartino in a corner there, and they were beating the tar out of him. And I was there with my camera shooting pictures, and I was going like, what are these guys doing? This is for real. This is unbelievable. So the relationship with the Road Warriors in the magazines is something that was not touched upon in this episode of the dark side of wrestling. So I want to talk to you a little bit about that. It all started off, the relationship started off when Ole Anderson, as booker, used to let me and Craig Peters come down and shoot the matches and also do posed sets with the wrestlers, and also the first series of Pro Wrestling Illustrated press conferences. And on one of those press conferences, the two of them, Hawk and Animal, were going back and forth and threatening us, threatening Craig and I. And I'll never forget, Hawk looked at me and he just called me a gerbil-faced twit. After you gerbil-faced twit. And anytime we do an interview, a press conference or whatever, he always repeated that. And the last time I saw Animal, about a year ago at one of the wrestling conventions, he had a surprise for me. And let me go get it, show it to you. Check this out. He did not forget the Road Warriors. And there it is. Hey, gerbil-faced twit. Thank you, Joe, if you're watching this, for remembering that and bringing it onto a t-shirt. And I wear it very often. This other shirt up here, this other shirt up there, was one of their merchandise, and that was one of the photos that Craig Peters and I took of them in the studio. Let me bring it closer for you. And again, these are the magazine days of the Road Warriors. Look at that. Classic photo. Ah. Yeah, and I still wear this in the wintertime. The romance of the Road Warriors and the magazines. We took them into the streets of New York, into the subway, into Central Park. And also, by the way, I did mention that I was at ringside to shoot one of their very first matches before they came up with the war paint and everything. Here's that photo. Precious Paul Ellering right there in the middle. But through the years, anytime we wanted to photograph them or do interviews, it was always ours for the asking. I remember flying to Minneapolis, to the Gold's Gym there, and spending several days shooting their workouts as well. And we always went out to dinner, had a good time, and like the show said tonight, sometimes Hawk didn't go with us. Animal always, hey, let's go out and eat. Hawk sometimes, well, not tonight. We never knew where he was going and what he was doing. The main thing that they never covered also in this is the awards. Back then there was no internet. Back in the prime Road Warrior days, there was no internet at all. And the only way a lot of fans who didn't have cable TV got to know who they were was because of this. Covers of the magazines and centerfolds of the magazines and stories from the magazines. And also, they held the Tag Team of the Year award 4 times. 4 times, which is amazing. 4 times. And again, these awards were then shown as cable TV came out, and Jim Crockett Promotions, and they would promote this everywhere, that they were the tag team champions, even in Japan, that they were the Tag Team of the Year. So it was amazing to me that through this whole show, which I really liked, that the magazines were not brought into this at all. And also, one thing that I found that might have been a bit of an error is they were talking about how much Vince McMahon liked the term the Legion of Doom. Well, that was used a long time before McMahon even knew about it, because we used it in the magazine, because precious Paul Ellering, who, by the way, is one of the greatest people in the whole world, in or outside of wrestling. Love him to death. The Legion of Doom was mentioned by him as the Road Warriors, Jake the Snake Roberts, King Kong Bundy, and I think there were some other guys in there as well. But that was the original Legion of Doom. So my friendship with Animal has remained very strong even to this day. And well, let me just look at my notes, see if there was anything else I wanted to... oh yeah, Hawk never called me Bill or Bill Apter. He always called me, "Hey, Billy boy, what are we doing today?" So I always remembered that. It was a very fond memory. I never saw them achieve what they achieved back in the Georgia days and the Jim Crockett Promotion days in the WWF. Would I have loved to have seen that? Of course, but it didn't happen. But I have very great memories of them, both professionally and personally. And I still keep in touch with Joe Animal, and I see him at conventions all the time. So right now, I want to run an interview I did with Joe Animal several years ago, as we remember and talked about some of the great things about the Road Warriors. And again, they were the toughest tag team of all time. Four-time PWI Tag Team of the Year. What a rush. Let's look at my interview with Animal right now. Hello everyone, Bill Apter here at the 2300 Arena. Used to be the ECW Arena. It's the Icons of Wrestling and Comic Book Collectors Fest, and I just ran into one of the people that changed pro wrestling forever. Half of the team of the Road Warriors. Animal, welcome to the Apter Chat.
Oh, hey, Bill. It's always great to be on the interview with you. You're one of our favorite people. You know, Hawk and I had a blast doing interviews with you in our day.
We did some of the great interviews that I ever did was on TBS with the two of you and Precious Paul Ellering.
I think it'll go down in history with Hawk saying, "After you gerbil-faced twit."
I get that all the time. Tell us, now in retrospect, about those days. Did you guys know that you were going to change the business forever? Did you have any inkling?
We were just guys trying to make a living. I mean, I had a family to support, We're trying to pay bills. Had no idea that 30 years later that we were still going to be hailed as the greatest tag team of all time. And it just goes to show you that we had great help along the way. You never get the success by doing things yourself. you get, with us, with the Pro Wrestling Illustrated, Tag Team of the Year, Tag Team of the Decade, that was a big boost for us. You're working with guys like Stan Hansen and Harley Race and Brody and Ole Anderson and Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard and Flair and those guys. We had a lot of great teachers, and we listened, and that was part of us grooming us to, Kevin Sullivan, grooming the Road Warriors to what we evolved it,
Yeah, it's amazing. Tell us your favorite memory or a story about Hawk.
I don't think I have a favorite one with Hawk, man. I mean, Hawk and I were like brothers.
I know that.
We've known each other since we were young kids, and we bounced in bars together. We've got hammered together. We run up and down the road together. I mean, all different things, The only story that comes to mind with me was Cincinnati, Ohio. Hawk had that Hawk bracelet, remember? In diamonds?
I sure do.
He got so messed up, he forgot where he put it in the hotel room. He put it up in a ceiling tile and he never found it. I said, Hawk, that was a $10,000 mistake. Right there. So Hawk was innocent in that way that he would do things like that.
Unbelievable. I know that. He was a great guy. Miss him very much. And then, of course, the day that Craig Peters and I took our cameras and took you, Hawk, and Precious Paul to Central Park.
That's right, man.
For pictures.
That was a classic, man. The Road Warriors in Central Park, man. One of the most historic parks in the world. And here we are taking pictures. You remember when Hawk and I each gave that bum $100?
Yes.
The big wino sitting there, and we each gave him $100, man. You need it more than I do. And,
he was very grateful. And then when we went down to the subway, I remember that. And
I just looked at a picture yesterday. Someone showed me us coming up the stairs of the subway. Remember?
Yeah. That's what I was talking about. And then, of course, there was the classic covers with the red background of Craig Peters lying on the ground with a light, so I could take pictures, horror pictures of the two of you.
That probably will go down in history as probably one of the greatest shots in wrestling. I still have people bringing that magazine to us to sign it all the time, man. It was a great pose. That pose, I think, put the Road Warriors on a different level when it comes to tag team. Because nobody did it.
You guys were scary as hell, and that made you even more scary.
Yeah, man. We became real life Superman and freaking Batman and Robin type thing. You know what I mean?
I remember. So tell everybody to wrap up what you're doing these days and where people can find you.
Well, I'm just doing appearances every weekend. I go out and I like to meet the fans. I bring my spike pads. The fans can put them on for photos. If you need to reach me, man, you can go to bookprowrestlers.com, get a hold of me, or you can go to my Joseph Michael Laurinaitis Facebook, private message me. I'll answer it. I do a lot of bookings. I do a lot of speaking engagements. I like to speak to kids in high school, kids in college, that tell them, man, don't forget your dreams, but go after your dream. You never know when it's going to come. I mean, I did that with my own son, and he made it in the NFL for 8 years, So, and I go like to speak of positive motivation. There's road A, road B. Don't go down road A. I've been there. Go road B. Yeah. It's a lot safer and better for you. So I do that. I speak at Pepsi Cola, at a lot of other places. I do a lot of major corporations. So if you're interested in anybody come in to speak, I'm your guy, because I will tell you the truth and tell it like it is.
All right. So last thing, I love to do this with people on the spot. Are you ready? So tonight, it's going to be a grudge match. It was supposed to be the Road Warriors against the Anderson brothers. One Anderson is missing, and one Road Warrior is not available tonight. So the people out there want to know how you're going to defeat Ole Anderson tonight. Could you look out at the camera and tell them?
Ole Anderson, you ain't no stranger to Road Warrior Animal. I know your game. I know what you're all about. It'll take me 2 seconds, and then both Andersons will be out of the picture. If you don't believe me, watch some of our matches from the past. Oh, what a rush.
Thank you, Animal. By the way, for you fans who don't know, we may have to reveal this. You mentioned Joe Laurinaitis, that guy with the WWE.
Oh, that's my brother John.
Oh, okay. There are a lot of people out there who don't know.
John was, I think the milkman was delivering milk in our neighborhood somewhere. My brother Mark, who used to be with the Wrecking Crew, right?
I remember him.
Mark and I look a lot alike. John's John.
All right. Well, Animal, thank you so much. We'll see you at the matches. What a rush.